My time in school has been long, but it's coming to an end. After about 2 decades in school, I started to feel nostalgic about it. I wanted to play a game that embodies my time in school as a whole. Bully is a game I play from time to time, but when I do, I always run through the whole game. But why? It's because of the characters. All of them are so memorable. You play as Jimmy, the king bully. He's truly just a dick. The antagonist is Gary, a plotting, manipulative sociopath who you love to hate. Dr. Crabblesnitch is the headmaster who believes that you need discipline, but everyone else gets to do what they want. Other characters like Pete, Ernest, Thad, Johnny, Russell all have their own identity and charm. Teachers are also a big part of the game. Mr. Galloway, Miss Phillips, Mr. Burton, Dr. Watts, all equally as memorable as the students you spend most of the time with. These characters are what the game is all about. They're all fleshed out, and getting to know them is the best part of the game. The story is hilarious. The things Jimmy has to do to win the school are crazy. Stealing panties for Mr. Burton, getting pictures of naked girls for the nerds, stealing the mascot costume to fuck with the jocks, helping a homeless Santa get money. All these things are insane but hilarious, and the game is filled with things like this. The side quests are also fun. Class, races, the faction challenges, side hustles, even going to the carnival. All of it is so great. Or at least that's how I remember the game. Maybe it's because I went in with such high hopes, but replaying it just felt boring. I found myself having to force myself to get through the game. I remember everything with a shiny coat of paint, but in reality, like Bulworth, it's lost its charm. I was really disappointed with this run. The story really isn't as funny as I remembered. I used to laugh playing this, but I sat through the whole game like this. These characters I thought were so fleshed out are two-dimensional. And I get that that's part of the game, but it just made me sad. The main story I loved has repetitive missions, and it's very noticeable by the end of the game. Go grab this in this amount of time, or it's beat up guys, which is fun, but it isn't fun by the 13th time you do it, and I honestly hate it. These missions also don't have checkpoints, so when you fail, you have to manually walk back to the start of the mission and replay it. Not to mention the side quests. I used to love doing the classes in this game, but by the time I was done with Chapter 2, I stopped going to them at all. I didn't do any of the non-required races because spamming W sucks, side hustles are a waste of time when you're not buying anything, and I only did the faction challenges to get the save spots. Some of the more memorable parts of the game really aren't a big part of it. Gary, this cunning mastermind I thought of, is barely in the game. It feels like he was forgotten about. He's more of a plot device than a character. Why did something go wrong? Gary, but you really don't see him do it. When you compare him to other Rockstar villains, he seems forgettable. Not to mention the world you're in. Bulworth feels so empty. The entire right side of the map feels the exact same no matter where you are. And sure, certain NPCs have unique dialogue, but more often than not they're not around, and you hear the same 4 phrases over and over. Oh, and the crashes. Don't get me started on the crashes. The game crashes every hour, and redoing that hour of progress sucks, especially if it wasn't fun the first time. I'm not gonna say I didn't have fun playing, but it definitely wasn't what I wanted out of the game. But to be honest, that's okay. Much like my time in school, it's time for me to move on from Bully. It's always been a game I ran to for comfort. First, when I was going into high school, I remember playing it that summer and feeling like I could take on the world. Then when I got into college, it helped me break my nerves of leaving home. I played it now for nostalgia, and while it was definitely nostalgic, it's not what I want anymore. It's time to leave it behind. Bully is like that friend you had in high school. You guys were so close back then, but every time you see him now, it's not the same. But at least you have the memories.